Hey everyone, last week we talked about prayer. We talked about what prayer does for us when we begin to pray God's heart, when we pray with all of our heart actually. And when we pray with all of our heart, it'll change you. One of the things that it'll do is it'll change your perspective. Perspective is an interesting thing. It's kind of one of those weird things. Like, for example, today, probably many of you have never been up here, you've never seen anything like this, or you've never seen our church from this angle, but let me just kind of give you a different perspective here on our church. Right here, I'm up on top of the roof. I'm up on top of our church. There you can see, there's our courtyard. There's our offices over there. There's the different things around us in our church. A kind of different perspective, okay? But the perspective that we have sometimes with God, and when we begin to pray God's heart, He'll begin to change our perspective. He changes our perspective in the things that we believe, and He changes the perspective in the way that we see things. We begin to see things with a different heart. We begin to see things the way that God sees them. When we begin to see things the way that God sees them, and sometimes that changes everything else within us. What we're asking through our prayer is that we make our heart more like God. And He changes our heart and our vision to be more like Him. Knowing it's going to change your perspective. It's going to change the way that you view things. But isn't that the goal? To be more like Him? To be more Christ-like? To become more like Christ? That He changes our perspective. And in changes our perspective, we see people in a different way. See how those people driving on that road? We see them as cars. I wonder how God sees it. This week I hope that as you continue to pray, that God begins to change your perspective of people, of life, and your call. Have a great week. I love you. Bye.
And this is me under construction.